What's happening, Battle Brothers? Ave Dominus New back here again with some more YouTube content. I wanted to talk about my favorite Warhammer 40k novels, my top 10. I started my journey with Black Library maybe 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And if you don't count Horus Heresy and Siege of Terra, and you don't count novellas and short stories, I've probably read about 25 novels that take place in the modern Warhammer 40k warscape. So I would love to break down. I sat down and I thought about it, and it was some tough choices. And even after I got my top 10, it was hard to organize them. So I'm going to sit down and let you know what my top 10 favorite Warhammer 40k Black Library novels are and why I put them there and what I love about them. So here we go. At number 10, we have Day of Ascension by Adrian T. It is a novel about the Gene Stealers and the Mechanicus. Imagine, if you will, being a serf or a slave or a servant, whatever you call it, on a Mechanicus Forge world. And life there is so hard and so short and so brutal that you see a Tyranid and you think, well, anything's got to be better than this. That's what Day of Ascension is about. It follows the Gene Stealers and their quest to overthrow the Mechanicus. And on the other side, it actually has point of view Mechanicus characters who are having their own schism involving the Gene Stealers, and you get to see the Mechanicus and all their flaws. But it's an excellent book. It's got great characters. It's got a great story. The Mechanicus and their bullshit is always entertaining. And me personally, I don't know anything about Gene Stealers. This is the first book I read about that had Gene Stealers inside of it, besides Infinite and Divine, and besides the first Caiaphas Cain novel. I never really got this close of a look at Gene Stealers, so it was fascinating. That's my number 10. And you got Gene Father by Guy Haley. And this novel is basically two of my favorite characters in 40k having a dick measuring contest. It's my boy Fabius Bile, better known as Fabulous Bill, and my boy Belisarius Call, Mr. Unfuckwittable. And they have a game of cat and mouse. The book is mostly about Call and him trying to accomplish his goals with the Mechanicus and get help for what he needs to do involving the Pariah Nexus. But the secondary story is about Bile trying to get what he wants from Call. And it's a great setup, great dialogue, great characters, great story. It's really got some of the best dialogue I've seen in 40k. And when Bile and Call actually go back and forth, ooh, it is something to behold. So that's my number 9. I love that novel. At number 8, we got Guy Haley again, dropping fire on us, dropping bombs on your moms with Dante. It is the book about Chapter Master Dante, his origin story, and the events that lead up to the devastation of Baal, the second novel in the Blood Angels trilogy. And I really love Dante. This was one of the first novels that I read in my journey, and seeing his journey to become a Blood Angel and how the process of becoming a Space Marine, and also seeing everything that the Blood Angels go through. The novel illustrates point of view of the Red Thirst, the Black Rage, and going against various threats from the galaxy, and even the ascension to Chapter Master. So it is just stunning and emotional with great characters, as always, like every top 10 book should have. And you cheer on Dante, and Dante is the man. Me and my friend Dreamer Chris made a book club episode about Dante, and we'll go through the whole thing if you want to know more. So number 7 on the list is Renegades Hero Master by Mike Brooks. And Renegades is a crazy book because it is about the Alpha Legion, modern day. And our two main characters are Solomon and his servant slash partner, Lady Talarva, who's previously was an Alpha level Psyker, Primus for the Imperium. And you get to see the Alpha Legion in their adventures. And so you get to see the different cells. You get to see what they think about the past and what they think about the Primarchs or what might have happened. You've got a group of Inquisitors who specialize in chasing Alpha Legion, and they have their own schism. It's definitely one of the most action-packed and one of the most, hey, stuff is happening all the time. There was never a dull moment in Hero Master, and I love the Alpha Legion. The Alpha Legion's so cool. They got so much variety, and I think that that's one of the best Chaos Legions to get a point of view of, because they're not what you expect. Everyone's got a different expectation of the Alpha Legion or ways that they see them. But when you actually see them from the inside, you see that the Alpha Legion is never what you expect. And I think that perfectly suits their nature. So yes, this is an amazing book. I love this book. Go read it. Now, number 6 is Assassinorum Kingmaker by Robert Rath. And it's about the Assassinorum. You get 3 assassins from the Assassin Temples working together on a mission to assassinate somebody on a night world. So the other point of view is just the night world. And this book is amazing because the assassins are less morally bankrupt than the people of the night world in a lot of different ways. And I know that the assassins being so lovable is somewhat of an oxymoron, but you really cheer for them. And they have so much personality that it's like you're watching like a James Bond movie or a Quentin Tarantino movie or something. It's a wild ride also. It's one of my favorite novels from beginning to end, and it's got great plot twists. You won't be disappointed with Kingmaker. So number 5 on my list is Mr. Mike Brooks back again with Son of the Forest. Son of the Forest is the return novel for the Lion, and anyone who knows anything about Warhammer 40k, who's been into it for the past year, knows about the Lion returning and how big it is. Primarch returning to the setting is, and this novel is amazing. And it's not just because the Primarch returns, which is an awesome part of the book, but also you get to see what's going on with the Fallen, who are not exactly into chaos, and what they've been up to for the last 10,000 years. One of my favorite characters is Zabriel, who has just been running from the Dark Angels for such a long time, and he is the POV character who is not a Primarch, becomes the Lion's second in command, basically. And you get to see their adventures throughout the galaxy, and they run into some chaos fallen, some real fallen, and you get to see what ensues, and you get to see the Lion's point of view on modern day. And they talk about the Horus Heresy and their retcons and lets us know about kind of what happened back there. Maybe just screws in some loose ends. It's an amazing book. Amazing book. We love the Lion. We love Zabriel. We love the Risen. So go read that. So Guy Haley hits the list a 3rd time with Dark Imperium Godlight. And we just talked about the Son of the Forest, so we got to talk about his little brother Guilliman. He is the first return Primarch that we got, if you don't count Vulcan and the War of the Beasts, which nobody does because that series is tragically awful. But it's great to see Guilliman back, and this is the 3rd book of the trilogy. And I only picked 1 book out of the trilogy because Godlight was everything leading up to the moment. Guilliman versus Mortarion and all of the subplots wrapping up, and brother Matthew, and we get to see just everything. If you don't already have the spoilers for Godblight like a lot of people do, I recommend you just read the Dark Imperium trilogy, because it's some of the best way to catch up with modern 40k. I still think it's some of the best novels. The other 2 novels, Dark Imperium and Plague Wars, they're both special in their own way, and they're both excellent novels. But I had to throw Godblight up here just because of the ramifications of the events that take place are pretty crazy and change the 40k world in their own way. So I think that it's awesome. At number 3, you've got Gazkul Thraka, Prophet of the Wa by Nate Crowley. And this is one of my favorite books because I'm a little bit biased. I listened to this book on Audible, and I listened to all of my books on Audible before. Well, back in the day, I was doing bootlegs, but when I knew I was going to be down for the cause and reading these Black Library books, I quickly signed up for Audible. And if we're going to talk about the best voice acting and narration in a voice form in all of 40k, first off, this book is number 1 when it comes to that. The book has different voice actors for different narrators. The narration is seamless, beautiful. The orc culture is amazing. It's funny. It's hilarious. The characters are awesome. Even if the characters don't get a lot of screen time, just their names give them so much personality that the world building is crazy. The cameos are wild. Makari is one of my favorite characters in 40K because he the way that he explains things and the way he sees the world, and the narrator's like that too, a blood axe. The Inquisition team is varied. You got everything from a psychic Augurin to a rune priest, and you got a radical inquisitor at the helm. They have a Crude in the basement. We're not going to talk about it because we're starting to get into spoiler territories. But they're basically interrogating Makari, and he's giving them stories about Gascol as they're trying to get information about his whereabouts in the universe. So it is a amazing book, and it was definitely competing for the number one spot. But the other two books are so good, in my opinion, that it's hard for me to pick this over them. But it's probably the number two Xenos book, and I think that every Orc fan, every 40K fan, and people just want to hear a good ass story should check it out. Love it. So number two is going to be pretty predictable, because if you look at my channel and my channel banner, I'm obviously a Night Lords fan. So book number two was obviously going to be Void Stalker. You knew I was going to pick at least one of the three of the trilogy. I think that every Night Lord fan has their own favorites when it comes to the trilogy. Blood Reaver is amazing, and the first book is wild, and they're all great for their own reasons. But I chose Void Stalker because the plot twists, the character development, and just everything that built up to this novel, kind of like similar to Godlight. It was just, the other two novels are amazing. It's just that the other two built up to this, and you get to see everything spiral out of control for the Night Lords, and they are just one of the worst factions. I'm reading a lot of Emperor's Children right now, and they're definitely competing for first place of the most terrible factions. I haven't read anything Dark Eldar yet. I do plan on reading the Big Daka soon, but the Night Lords are just highly morally bankrupt to the point where it's almost comical. It is comical in a lot of different cases, and you actually get to see some Craft World Eldar too, and I think that it's one of my favorite endings in 40K. Now GW I don't think ever goes anywhere with it. If you're looking for like modern day Night Lords lore, this book came out a long time ago, and we need Aaron Dembski-Bowden to follow this up with something else, because he's set up beautifully. It's a beautiful setup, and I think there's some information in the codex, but to be honest with you, this is like my second favorite novel in all of 40K. I would highly suggest you go read the Night Lords trilogy. I was doing a review chapter by chapter of each book, but that's a lot of content, and I've got 2 other YouTube channels to do, so we're probably going to figure out something else to do with those novels. But all I gotta say is Ave Dominus Nox. Now for the number one book, my favorite modern day Warhammer 40K novel of all time, and it is Infinite and the Divine by Robert Rath. It is about Trazyn the Infinite and Orican the Diviner, 2 Necrons who are millions of years old, who have a 10,000 year rivalry over a puzzle box, and it could possibly save their race. And their ideologies are so different. This is one of the funniest 40K books. This book is even funnier than Gascol, and that's saying a lot, because Gascol was gut-busting funny, but this book is so entertaining. There's really not even that many characters in the book, but Trazyn and Orican are damn near able to carry it by themselves, and there's emotional moments. There's plenty of funny moments. The book is action-packed. These guys have Dragon Ball Z fights. You get to see the history of the Necrons and the reason that they might be remembering, like, there's reasons that their perspectives are different and they're not getting along right now. You know, they talk about the Great Awakening. You get to see the Awakened Council. And because it happens over 10,000 years, you get to see the planet where most of the events take place go have everything from being inhabited to orcs, Imperium, Exodite Eldars, and you just get to see this transition. And usually a book like this would not be easy to pace, but somehow Robert Rath managed to pace this book so perfectly and so seamlessly that the story just transitions seamlessly over 10,000 years from the back to the end. It's an amazing book, and I love these 2 characters. Trazyn's my favorite character, and all of 40K is Trazyn and then Fabius. Maybe I should make another video about my favorite characters. But oh, go read it. Go read it. I would tell a person who's not even in the 40K. I think that this might have been the first or second book that I read. It might have even been this or Brutal Cunning. But even though it's only the second book I've read, and I've read it multiple times, even after everything I've read modern day, Siege of Terror, all that stuff, nothing's really messing with Infinite or Divine. So I say, yeah, you have to go read it. You have to go read it. You have to go read it. That was my top 10 40K novels from the Black Library, in my humble opinion. I would love to see what you guys' favorite top 10 novels are. Let me know in the comment. Let me know why my list is trash. Let me know if my list is good. It's totally okay. I won't get mad. You can tell me if my list is garbage. Let me know what I should be reading. Suggest Warhammer books for me based on what I've liked and what you wouldn't, maybe some things I wouldn't expect to like. This is the Ave Dominus noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.